Hi guys, I'm Dutchess. This is my channel, Dutchess Divinity, and we do lots of stuff here, but today I'm going to tell you about my perception and understanding of what a twin flame is. I'm not going to go into my personal experiences or my own personal journey. I'm going to tell you the strict quantum mechanics and physics and basically the overarching spiritual themes that I have experienced on my own personal journey, that I have a lot of friends who are twins that they have also experienced, as well as a lot of clients who are twins. And there are certain themes and understandings that I've gathered through channeling and working with so many different twins over the last several years, since 2019, when I realized I was on a twin flame journey. I've gathered a lot of information. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am a psychic, I'm a medium, I'm a channeler, I'm a healer, I'm a witch. I do a lot of stuff. If you're interested in any of the services I have a lot of free content. I just saw 111. I have a lot of free content on YouTube. You can go check out my tarot readings. And if you're interested in anything else that I do, my website will be linked in the description and the comment section, and you can feel free to see what we have going on there. But don't feel pressure to if you're not interested. Just putting it out there. If you want more from me and don't know who I am or where to find it, that's where you can find it. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. I'm working on a poster that is going to have more of a detailed imagery towards what I am going to be explaining to you today. I'm a very visual person, and a lot of my psychic ability is sight. I'm a seer. So I have a crude drawing of which I'm going to show you today, and then whenever I finish my poster, I will remake this video with the more detailed and intricate drawings. But I just wanted to get this out there because seems like a lot of twins are waking up, a lot of star seeds are waking up, and we very well could be heading into another tumultuous or difficult collective experience outside of the tumultuous and difficult collective experience we're already having. So I just had to get this out there. Yeah, so I have realized I've been on a journey, a twin flame journey, since 2019, and this is the cut and dry quantum information that I have channeled as an oracle, using my gifts to not only help myself and my family line, but to help my clients and hopefully aid the collective in stepping into the new earth and moving forward in the highest frequency and on the highest timeline that we possibly can. So yeah, you just sit back, relax. I'm going to tell you about twin flames. So you're here because you're like, what the F is a twin flame? Huh? What is that? Perhaps you're here because you're at the end of your rope. Perhaps you're here because you're super stressed. Perhaps you're here because you're on cloud 9 and you are in the honeymoon phase, or you're in one of the highs rather than the lows. Whatever has brought you here, I'm finna show you right now. So here's how I understand it. And now, disclaimer, I am not the end-all be-all. I don't think I know everything. In fact, if I know anything, it's that I know nothing. Everything's a mystery in life that we can't fully grasp or comprehend. And this is simply what I've channeled. This is simply what resonates with me. This is from several years of working my own journey, like I said, as well as working friends and clients' journeys. And this is all just my experience, my opinion. You are totally allowed to disagree with me. You are totally allowed to just take the information, process it, and not care about it, or process it and love it, or process it and hate it. Whatever you want. I'm not here to change your mind about anything. I'm simply here to share knowledge, and what you do with that knowledge and how you resonate with that knowledge is not my responsibility, and I'm not trying to force anything on you. So let me just say that. Okay. Yeah, so let's get into it. So the first thing, I understand source, or God as people call it. I call it source because I see it as the source from which all things come. I have visited source several times, and when I see source pretty much looks just like a giant light up yoni. And if you don't know what a yoni is, it's a vajayjay. Yeah, so it looks like just a big light up vagina in the sky, and it's like shaped like this as I've seen it. And it's funny because right below it there is a little circle, and I've recognized that circle to be Christ and Christ consciousness. And this is why I believe Nazarene churches, or churches that see Jesus as God, believe that, because Christ is directly below source. It's the closest to source I've ever seen any entity or light-bodied energy. Now, the funny thing about this is it literally looks like a vagina and a butthole. So Christ is the butthole, and I find that also very interesting and metaphoric, because a lot of people believe that the Bible is metaphors, it's not literal, and the idea of reaching Christ consciousness is an awakening of the Kundalini, of the lower chakra, the root chakra, awakening that Kundalini snake-like energy, which this is a big part of the twin flame journey, Kundalini energy and Magick. Awakening that at the root of the chakra, and then sending it and shooting it up through all your chakras out your crown chakra. So the root is it's like the butthole, right? And then going up through the crown chakra. And a lot of people do have in the past, like when we think of Aleister Crowley and the Book of the Law, and when I give references to different pieces of literature, that does not, or different people that I've learned from, that doesn't mean that I believe everything that they say. It means that I'm able to think critically and read information and take what resonates for me. So even if you don't like Aleister Crowley as a person, or don't like certain things that he's done, you can still learn from the teachings and take what works for you, okay? So when we think about how people used to try and reach Kundalini awakening and enlightenment, a lot of times it was through the butthole, like through butt sex. So it's funny that there is that metaphor and idea of Christ consciousness and reaching enlightenment coming from the root and going to the crown, and how I see Christ as literally the butthole. But yeah, so when I go up there, because I astral travel a lot, it's like this bright light that looks like a yoni, and that's source, and then that's Christ right below source. And I often convene with Christ in this middle area right here. It's just kind of blackness, and I will convene with Christ, and usually he shows himself as a lion or the man version of himself when I'm there, and I will converse with source, because sometimes I got a bit of a temper, and I'll head on up to source and be like, what the F? Why you do this to us? Why? Because I get angry. So basically when I go up there, it's this yoni, and it puts out all different kinds of light. So it spits out little light pockets, and those little light pockets look a lot like fireworks. Like when you see a firework and it starts as one orb and then it splits, that is soul consciousness. Soul consciousness will come out in some solid, larger form and then split into several different forms. This is where the idea of the soul splitting comes from with the twin flame rhetoric. So as you can see, it spits out different souls and different bubbles, is what I call them, all the time. And so here we have a very big bubble, and this is the 144,000 that you hear about in the Bible, or that you hear about with the Great Awakening. Basically, Source, in my understanding, asked 144,000 old souls who had already completed this matrix grid, who had already completed, made it through this universal system, because there are 13 different dimensions, if not more, that are recognized by science and quantum physics. And so basically it's like you work your way up the different dimensions, and then you can, once you've done that, your soul has the ability to shift through time and space as you please, shift through density as you please, because it's like a video game. You've climbed the levels. It's my understanding that things got so evil, so dark, so messed up, so out of alignment on planet Earth. That's why they call it a prison planet, a karmic planet. If you know, you know. It just got so dark, so evil, and so out of equilibrium. That source collected 144,000 old souls and starseed beings who had mastered this matrix grid previously and asked them to volunteer. I just saw 1010 when I said that. Asked them to volunteer their services and come down to planet Earth to shift the vibration back to the light to help the pendulum swing, and so that Earth wouldn't be doomed to continue to rot into oblivion. Or be destroyed like so many other planets before, like Mars, destroyed through nuclear war, or Lyra, destroyed by reptilian wars. So that was a really big bubble of 144,000, and these are the little souls. I only drew a couple, but basically imagine this big bubble is just filled with all these little souls, okay? And I've actually been in the bubble. Like, I astro traveled there, and we were all just these white and gold orbs, and we were all so excited. Like, we were pumped to come down for this mission. And so as we fall from, that's the other idea of Satan. I saw 11:11. Think about Lucifer. He was an angel who fell into a physical form. When we think about Satan and when we think about the fallen angels and things like that, it's literally just going from a higher dimension and falling into a physical form. I'll link my video on Satanism where I talk about all of this. I'm a little cranky in that video because things had just locked down, so please just show me some grace, but there's some great information in there. Basically, it's the idea of a light-bodied energy coming into physical form and dropping into a lower density. Low density isn't necessarily bad, it's just lower, right? Because 3 is less than 4 is less than 5. But the second dimension would be lower than us, right? So anyway, so it's like we started our journey down, 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 coming down from the light down into a more physical form, and we had to drop and start this journey from up down to fall into fleshy forms here. Now, as our little soul bubble floated down, it began to split. So first it split in half, and then those halves split in half, and then those halves split in half, and so on and so forth. This is the idea of soulmates, soul tribe, soul family. You come from the same bubble, you just split off at some point, okay? And as these bubbles are descending into denser realities and more physical forms, they begin to split smaller and smaller. So for example, someone who does not have a twin flame, their bubble might split and split and split, and then the bubble that they last split out of has 6 souls in it. So now this person has 6 different soulmates or soul connections within their last splitting bubble. 6 different souls, people, starseeds, however you see them. Now, this same bubble split and split and split and split, and instead of going into a pod of 6, that pod of 6 split into 3 sets of twin flames. Now, I put the yin and the yang here just because I think it's a good representation of the divine feminine and the divine masculine within the pod. But essentially, this is what it looks like. And when I see the twins, they do look like little fetuses wrapped like a yin yang in their orb, like twins in the womb. Now, this is essentially your womb. It's your astral womb. So the difference between a twin flame is with these people, they have 6 individuals all together. With these, you have that one person left in your pod, okay? And that's your twin. And your twin is pretty much your exact opposite in every way, except your souls connect so deeply that it doesn't even make sense, okay? So they're your opposite in every way because it's got to split, right? If it's one piece of soul left and then it splits in 2, it splits in opposites. And that's part of the journey, right? Is like you're supposed to reflect what they lack and vice versa. And that's why they say it's a mirror and it's incredibly reflective experience. So And also when they say one soul split into two, yeah, we're all from fucking one soul and we split and split and split and split. It's not that you guys are one soul. You are. We're all one, right? But you're your individual selves as well. It's just, that's what they mean when they say one soul split into two. Now, the reason why everybody and their fucking mother thinks that they're on a twin flame journey is because things were so evil. We're in truly a spiritual war against light and dark, and spirit needed reinforcements. So now, after the 144,000, that's why there's so many more of us than just 144,000. So, what happened was, Source starts to send down these pods of only twins. So it's a pod, but the pod is filled with twin souls. And then basically, instead of having to slowly travel down, it shoots down and then it explodes, like I said, like a firework. And now it's just, I'll show you. So it's like, so it's like this. So it shoots down this pod. The pod shoots down to a lower density very quickly and then explodes into little twin flame pods all off of it. Now, this has happened because what I understand a twin flame to be is I understand them to be that one energy, that one soul that always has your back. Whether they are there in the physical realm or they're there in your dreams. They're there virtually. They're there in your meditation. They're there astrally. No matter what, they're always there for you. All right. And we can get into all the three-dimensional stuff, like how to know if your twin flame is communicating with you. I can get into all that if you guys are interested in this. I just wanted to make the quantum mechanics understanding that I have around this to try and demystify it and take away all of the human emotions that we feel around the need to unify romantically, usually with our twin. Not all twins. So some people get very disturbed because they think that twins can only be romantic. I don't know, but I also can't write off. I think it's very limiting to think that it can only be romantic partners, because I've met people who think that their cousins are their twin flame, and I feel like, or their siblings, and it doesn't mean that they have a romantic or sexual attraction to that being. It means that that person is their exact opposite in every way, yet the same as them, and that they butt heads. Now I'm going to say something else too. I have noticed a lot of the time, twins have been part of each other's family in past lives. So usually your twin flame, as I understand it, and as I've channeled for myself and my clients, you're a pretty fucking old soul. You're a very old soul, and you've had to live a lot of lifetimes. And you've had to live a lot of tumultuous lifetimes where you had to bring equilibrium and balance to whatever time period you were in. And when we think about the olden times, there was a lot more war, a lot more murder, a lot more, just a lot more screwed up stuff. And so usually your twin flame has been your sibling in a past life, your husband, your wife in a past life, your best friend. You usually have a lot of lives where this person lived in close tandem with you and aided you in some sort of mission. And that's why they talk about the twin flame mission. It's about, I feel like all you're supposed to do is make sure that neither of you die. I don't feel like the world's going to end if you don't come into a romantic union. I don't feel like, and it can feel that way, and I'll explain why, but I just think the only thing you're meant to do while you're here is have each other's back, unconditionally love each other, which can be incredibly hard when it's your opposite in every way, and when they act in ways that you would never act because it's your opposite. Unconditional love is the main focus, and keeping each other alive, being there for each other in the astral realms, no matter what, having each other's backs. And so perhaps in past lives you incarnated during wartime and you were best friends and you had each other's back in war and you made sure that the other didn't die. this is going to be something that's going to cause you in this life to be like, oh my God, if I'm not with my twin, I'm going to die. If I'm not with my twin, I'm going to die. If I'm not with my twin, they're going to die. Because in past lives, it actually was like that. Like, you had to be in physical union, not romantic, just physical union in general, to keep yourselves alive. In this life, it's a little different, right? The war that we're waging is not physical. The war, I mean, for now, but the war that we're waging is spiritual. It's spiritual warfare. So if you can move the blockages of past lives and release it and understand that, and I do past life readings, no pressure, just putting it out there if you're interested, this can help to release some of that fear that you experience around death and your twin flame, okay? Or not completing a mission and your twin flame. Your only mission is to be in the highest vibration you can be, to heal the ancestral curses and break certain ancestral chains that, certain things that run in your family. So let's say in your family, you've never seen a healthy relationship. You come from a long line of people who either got married and divorced, or people who, I just saw 2111, or people who, maybe they had children out of wedlock and aren't actually having a healthy family unit. They are having some other version of a family unit, whether it's healthy or not. And a lot of times it's not in blended families. I'm not saying in all cases, but a lot of times, let's be real, there's challenges. There's really big, severe challenges that come with destroying the family unit and having a blended family unit. And that is no judgment. That's just my observation from the people I love having that experience and my clients having that experience as well. So yeah, that's why it feels so desperate. I was saying the only thing you have to break is your ancestral curses. So maybe it's your job to create the healthy family unit that your family line has never seen. Or let's say everyone in your family dies of heart attacks. Well, what are you eating? What are you eating? Are you all healthy? Or does nobody in your family exercise? Like, how can you break these certain ancestral curses? That's your mission. And then your mission is just to, like I said, unconditionally love and support your twin. No matter what. And I know that can be easier said than done. Trust me. I know. But that's it. That's the mission. And you don't have to feel pressured to romantically be with your twin. A lot of people are choosing soulmates, and that's okay. But that's just my understanding and my perception. So the bubble, and then also what makes you a twin is the understanding that you work well under pressure during crisis or wartime when you have each other's back. Now, a lot of things I've seen as well in past life readings is people will merge with their twin for the first time when they have a mutual death in a certain life where they ended up saving each other or helping each other. So I'll give an example for me and my twin. Me and my twin became actual twins. I mean, I understand us to be of the bubble, but I think before the bubble, I think this is what happened. And we had many lives before, many lives after together, and we had a very upsetting, very disturbing indigenous life where we were brutally murdered by settlers. And so that's another thing. A lot of us who have incarnated back during this time, we're the sleeping giants. We are the indigenous that they slaughtered, okay? We're back, baby, and we're taking the planet back for good to live in a state of symbiosis with it instead of slowly killing it. We are also the Nephilim. We are the demigods that were created through interdimensionals breeding with humans. We are also the fallen angels. We are also Atlanteans. We have been a part of several different failed societies that have fallen apart due to greed and misuse of authority and power. Atlantis fell for those reasons, right? Kemet. A lot of us are from ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet. Kemet fell for those reasons. We had to liberate the slaves, right? A lot of us have been alive during a time when evil reigned supreme, and we picked ourselves back up and we shifted the vibration of the planet. So a lot of you watching this, or even Lyrians, if you're from Lyra, that planet was destroyed as well. Mintonkins, that planet was destroyed as well, okay? We're here to make it right because we are tired of these same energies and beings, whatever the hell they are, ruining everything for everyone and creating hell on earth. We're done with it. That's why we're starting the new earth. So before we came down in our bubble, we came down in the 44,000, we split, and then we landed in our little bubble. And I have memories of us in this holding ground where we were looking over down at the 80s. We were like watching the 80s happen. I was born in the 90s, and I remember sitting in our little cloud with him and like watching the 80s, and we both liked the 80s, I guess. I don't know. We just thought it was an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And I think we were just excited to incarnate. So we were waiting in our little space. But anyway, another thing about twins is a lot of times they have an affinity for the 70s. They have an obsession or a liking to Woodstock, freedom, an extreme obsession with freedom or bodily autonomy or doing the right thing. And the reason for that is because a lot of us incarnated during the summer of love, like we were a part of that, and a lot of us were taken out. Think about it. We were fighting for equality. We were fighting for justice. We were fighting for peace back then. A lot of people died from drug overdoses, but a lot of us were taken out. A lot of us were kidnapped and put in human trafficking. Personally, for me, my last life, I was at a festival. I was kidnapped, and then I was one of like, I was on the dark web. I know the internet wasn't a thing back then, but it was. Because think about it. They have years and years and years of technology outside of what they express to us, and you can't tell me any fucking different. I won't believe it for a second. So the internet was a thing back then for the ultra rich, wealthy, and elite. And what I saw from my past life was like I had woken up in front of this big camcorder staring at me, and I had this like saw-like trap on my head that was meant to like rip my face off and open, and it was being recorded, and I was tied up in this black room. I was at a festival, then the next thing I knew, I woke up in this room, okay? And yeah, so a lot of us incarnated during that time and have a connection to that time because we were supposed to do what we're doing now then, but so many of us were taken out. So many of us were murdered. Or think about it. How much did kidnapping go up in the 60s, 70s? That was when it was like, and then the satanic panic, right? That happened right after. Trying to pin the blame in other directions, right? Don't look over here, look over there, where there isn't really a problem. Don't look where the actual problem lies. So think about it. That's when kids started ending up on milk cartons, everything like that. And how easy is it to make somebody disappear from a festival? Especially back then when we were not in a surveillance state and everyone wasn't recording everything all the time. So yeah, a lot of us have lived through that, and the mission suffered and couldn't come into fruition because so many of us were taken out. So it was like we kind of waited in our holding ground until we came back down to be alive during this time because our plans were foiled back in the 60s, 70s era. So yeah, I'll tell you how me and my twin became twins. We were siblings. We fought in wars, and we were knights. We were two male knights. We had a third brother. He was murdered on the battlefield. I almost lost my life and my arm, but my twin saved me. I had to fight one of our battles. My arm was literally dangling off, like out of the socket because it got ripped out in some way. And it was like, and I was like fighting. I will get pain a lot here from that life. It's just residual energy and moving out. But so I was literally like fighting. And that's the thing about twins is we're survivors. We don't give up easily. And that's why we've been put on this earth for this mission. So I was fighting. And then once we killed everybody, he had to literally run me, carry me, run me to safety to get me medical help, and he saved my life. And we lived a long life. We lived probably into our 60s, and we were looking out over the ocean and just talking about our brother who we lost and talking about the lives that we lived. And we went to go riding away down a path in the woods after looking out over the beach. And a client of mine in this life, and it's been insane because the synchronicities are just never ending with this client as well. During battle, I had actually stabbed her in the eye, and I didn't kill her. I ripped her eye out, okay? And she came back and she killed us. And so she was a witch in that life. She had on a cloak, and she came with like a band of thieves. I just saw 3033, almost like Robin Hood. Like we were riding through this path on the wood, in the woods, and then all of a sudden all these arrows were shooting at us, and we were under attack. And so we just got hammered with arrows, just like got hammered with arrows, and we both fell off. He fell off his horse first, I fell off mine after, and we fell opposite, yin and yang. I fell by his feet with my head by his feet, he fell with his head by my feet. And as I was falling, I saw her, my client, and she took off her hood so I would know it was her. She took off her hood, and she had a stitched up eye. I thought she was dead, but she wasn't. And she just telepathically said to me, "An eye for an eye," as I fell to my demise. And as we laid there, my soul came out and it was purple. His soul came out and it was blue. And I've seen the purple and blue a lot with twins. And then they intertwined into a double helix, like DNA. And then they got all sparkly and they shot in the air. And in that moment, Source knew that we worked well together under pressure, and that, you know, from that life, I don't want to say in that moment, but from that life, Source knew that we had the capacity to be twins with each other. And that's when we intertwined, and that's when we truly became twins. And that's when we lived many other lives in different situations, whether we were married or siblings or friends or whatever. We lived many other lives after that. And so that's how I became intertwined with my twin, to come down in this life and be twins, continue that journey, and continue to fight for the light and to fight for the good. And I think that's all I have to say for this video. I don't want it to be too long. I don't want it to be too dense. Like I said, that's my understanding. You can take it or leave it. Nobody has to believe anything they don't want to believe. You can just think of this as a wonderful, fanciful story. If that's all you want to think of it as, that's fine. But yeah, it's my opinion. I thought I'd share it, and I truly hope that it helped you in some way. If you're interested in getting any services with me, you can check the description or check the comment section of this video, where you'll find my website. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for rocking with me for this. And if you like this, please leave it in the comments, and I'm very knowledgeable on the twin flame journey. So if you want, I can get into it. We could talk about a bunch of different stuff. But I love you. Be kind to yourself and others. Have a beautiful day, and I would love to see you again sometime. Thanks for stopping by my channel, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
I'm Shadid and I walk like this. I'm Shadid and I dance like this. I'm Shadid, I can only count to 6. What the heck come after 6?
And I will see you another time. Okay, bye guys. Bye.